This video is brought to you by NordVPN. Give yourself options online. Go to nordvpn.com/TopTenz to get a special holiday deal. A 2-year plan at a huge discount, plus an additional month for free. More on them in a bit. You don't need to go to a desert island and find the X on a map to discover hidden treasure these days. As it happens, hundreds of homeowners and businesses are routinely discovering things hidden in their walls. Sometimes they're treasures, and sometimes they are decidedly not. Number 10. The first appearance of Superman. In the history of comic books, few of them are as coveted as Action Comics issue 1. This is the legendary first appearance of Superman, and it dates back to 1938. At the time, no one could have imagined what a pop culture force the book and the character would become. The cover price was 10 cents. Fast forward to 2013, when contractor David Gonzalez was renovating an old house he had bought for just over $10,000. The walls had been insulated with old newspapers, and in among them was a copy of Action Comics number 1. The book was in rough shape, the back cover had been torn off, but it was still the real deal. Gonzalez had it appraised, and based on its condition, it was rated a 1.5 out of 10, which means it was in close to the worst condition it could be in. Despite the shoddy condition, the book sold at auction for a staggering $175,000. That's a huge return on investment. If the book had been in good condition, Gonzalez could have expected a much more lucrative deal, as another copy in good condition sold 2 years earlier for over $2 million. In 2014, a copy in excellent condition became the most expensive comic book ever sold when it took in $3.2 million at auction. Number 9. $500,000. Who among us hasn't entertained the fleeting fantasy of one day running across a secret fortune and buried treasure, or just a sack of money on the side of the road somewhere? That was the reality for a couple in Arizona who bought a rundown house as is with the intention of performing some renovations on it. The story has more twists and turns than you might expect. While doing renovations, a contractor's employee found ammunition cans hidden in the walls. Inside the cans was $500,000 in cash. The worker told his boss, but the boss neglected to mention the find to the homeowners, opting to keep the cash for himself. Luckily, the honest employee informed the homeowners and police came to take possession of the money. Now, you'd think it would go to the homeowners at this point, but that was not the case. Several lawsuits were filed. The contractor sued the homeowners, and they sued the contractor, but the daughter of the previous owner sued as well, claiming the money was rightfully hers as part of her father's estate. The courts agreed, saying that when they sold the house as is, they did not know what they were giving up as it related to the cash, and it was still rightfully theirs. Number 8. Surveillance equipment. When it comes to creepy things in your walls, there are not many things that will set you on edge quite like discovering evidence that somebody has been secretly watching you. That was the weirdness one couple in Arizona had to deal with upon buying a new home and giving it a thorough search. The new owners had noticed that there was a mirror in the bathroom that seemed out of place, so they decided to take it off the wall. Unfortunately, someone had permanently affixed it there, so they cut it off. What they discovered was that the mirror was actually a two-way mirror, and behind it in the wall, wires were set up for video equipment. There was also plumbing set up for a sink and cabinetry. Some people speculated that this was not an insidious setup for filming people in the bathroom, and was maybe even a setup for something as innocent as a wall aquarium. But if that was the case, why had someone installed a two-way mirror at some point? Number 7. Prohibition-Era Booze. Every so often people find some unusual or exotic treasure in their walls, but when it comes to real practical goods, if you can't find gold or money, maybe the next best thing is what a New York couple discovered hidden in the walls of their upstate home. 60 or more bottles of Prohibition-era whiskey. Neighbors had told the couple that their new home had once been owned by bootleggers about 100 years ago, but it seems like nothing more than a charming story. That was until they started renovating and discovered the illicit stash. Dozens of bottles in walls and under the floor, many of them still unopened. They dated the bottles of old smuggler whiskey to the 1920s, so the bootlegger stories seem to have been real. Experts said the full bottles could be worth between $500 and $1,000 a piece at auction. Number 6. Bones. Imagine buying a new home, and as you go through the process of moving your things in and going over the house, you discover something inside the attic wall. Something that looks suspiciously like human bones. That's what one couple had to deal with in their new Houston area home back in 2017. Bones had been stashed in the wall along with a pair of glasses that resemble the ones worn by the home's previous owner. The same owner who had been missing for 2 years. She had been a quiet, pleasant woman as far as the neighbors knew, but one day she vanished and her mail began to pile up. A missing persons report was filed and eventually filed firefighters came to clear out the home. At the time, they noticed that the place smelled terrible, but it was also full of cats that had been taken care of since the owner disappeared. Within 2 years, the bank foreclosed on the property and it was sold. The new owners were the first to discover the remains, despite firefighters, police, animal control, and even roofers being through the house before they got to it. The medical examiner later confirmed the remains as belonging to the previous owner, Mary Cerruti. But as to the mystery of how she died and ended up in the wall, that remains unsolved. Okay, so back to today's video in just a moment, but first, here's a word from today's video sponsor, NordVPN. I've talked before on my channels about the benefits of VPNs. This is in the 1990s. Too many people are looking for your internet history, bad actors trying to steal your data and your personal information, corporations tracking your browser activity and bombarding you with ads. No one needs any of that nonsense. That's why NordVPN is so vital. And look, a common misconception is that VPNs are just for people who want to play defense, but they're not just for protecting yourself. You'd be amazed at the different streaming options you have when you jump on a server from another country. Protect yourself or just play around. Buy it for yourself or consider it a gift for another internet user in your life. With NordVPN, you got lots of options, and right now, you guys can take advantage of a special holiday deal that NordVPN is running. Any purchase of a 2-year plan comes with a huge discount, plus an additional month for free, and if you make a purchase and decide a VPN isn't for you, NordVPN offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. There's never been a better time to enhance your online experience with NordVPN, so head to nordvpn.com/TopTenz or use the code TopTenz at checkout, or just follow the link in the description box below. And now, the rest of today's video. Number 5. Missing boy. Your mind can go to some dark places when you think about what could be hidden in the walls of a home. The idea of finding a body is, as we've seen, not impossible at all. But what you're less likely to find is not a dead body, but a living one. Ricky Chekhovdia was believed to have been abducted in 2007. His father had been awarded custody, and the boy's mother disappeared with their son. For 2 years, the father had no idea if his son was alive or dead. And then, in a baffling twist, authorities discovered the boy had been living in a secret room behind the wall of his grandmother's house the entire time. The mother had claimed that the father was abusing the boy before she disappeared with him, but officials say that there was no evidence to support these claims. What they did have evidence of was the boy being kept in a windowless room for 2 years, during which time he never even saw the sun and was not allowed out for any reason, even medical treatment. The mother and grandmother both faced charges for their involvement, and Ricky was returned to his father's custody. Number 4. 100,000 bees. If you were to compile a ranked list of all the things you hope never to find in your walls, probably somewhere near the top would be a massive population of stinging insects. And that's why this particular story is so disturbing, since it involves one Canadian homeowner discovering that their walls were home to a nest of about 100,000 bees. After buying an old Victorian-style home in a historic part of town, homeowner Chantal Ryan noticed a curious affectation. Her walls buzzed. After realizing what the problem was, Ryan called a local beekeeper who came to help with the issue, but no one at the time appreciated the scale. It was a colony of bees up to 100,000 strong that was likely growing in the walls for the better part of a decade. Along with the bees, 250 pounds of honeycomb were removed from the walls as well. Ryan took the time to sample the honey and share it with their neighbors. Number 3. Stolen painting. The last thing any art gallery wants to lose is their exhibits. Whether it's to a disaster like a fire or to thieves, if a priceless painting gets destroyed or taken, that's a piece of history lost forever. That's exactly what one gallery in Italy thought happened to an important piece from their collection. Known as Portrait of a Lady, the painting by Gustav Klimt dates back to 1917. The painting had been part of the collection at Galleria Ricciardi in Piacenza since 1925, but in 1997 the painting was stolen. They found the frame near a skylight that was too small for the actual painting to have passed through. In 2019, gardeners found a hidden recessed portion of the wall outside in which a bag was stashed. Inside the bag was the missing painting. It's not known if the painting was there the entire 23 years it was gone or if someone had returned it later, but either way, the museum is returning it to the collection for viewing. Number 2. Chuck Palahniuk Time Capsule. Although he's written over a dozen fiction novels as well as non-fiction and short stories, Chuck Palahniuk's debut novel Fight Club sealed his legacy as a quirky, visceral author whose creativity was only matched by his weirdness. So maybe it makes sense that he takes care of houses like he writes books. The homeowner in Portland, Oregon moved into a house that the author had previously owned and, while doing renovations, discovered a gift. Palahniuk had sealed up a time capsule in the wall of his old home, complete with a signed copy of Fight Club, some old family photos, and a history of the house. The time capsule had been added to the walls in 2002, while Palahniuk and his family were also doing renovations. At that time, he'd published 4 novels, and Fight Club had already been made into a movie, but he still signed off his time capsule letter, saying that he assumed whoever found it would have no idea who he was. Number 1. Message in a bottle. Typically, when you hear about a message in a bottle, it's a story that takes place at sea, and every so often a tale shows up in the news about a very old bottle coming to shore with a message inside. Maybe that was the intention of the person in this story. They just couldn't get to the ocean in time, so instead they sealed their bottle in a wall. A Boston homeowner discovered an old whiskey bottle sealed between the chimney flue and an interior wall of their home. There was a rolled-up note inside that was dated September the 23rd, 1894, and as for the note itself, it simply said, "Tom Ford, 6 on share." The note was shared on social media, with people speculating on what it might have meant. Popular theories included a betting slip indicating someone had bet 6 on a horse named Share, or something to do with 6 games at Share Stadium. Others guessed Tom Ford lived on Share Street at number 6, but without further evidence, it's going to have to remain a mystery. So I really hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching.